Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India's Space Research Organisation carries out historic 100th mission from Sriharikota. GSLV F-15 successfully carries NV-02 into its planned orbit. India rejects Canada's report on election interference, says that it is Trudeau's government which is consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. A US court temporarily blocks President Donald Trump's freeze on funding for federal aid programs at an emergency hearing after Trump's order triggers nationwide chaos and confusion. M23 rebels take control of Democratic Republic of Congo's city of Goma as UN and African Union call on the rebels to lay down arms. Embassies targeted in Kinshasa as US urges UN intervention. The Indian Space Research Organisation today successfully launched its GSLV F-15 rocket carrying the NVS-02 satellite at 6:23 a.m. in Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh, marking ISRO's 100th rocket mission. The GSLV F-15 placed the 2,250-kilogram NVS-02 satellite into the orbit, paving the way to enhance India's indigenous navigation with Indian constellation, that is, NAVIC system. Now, the NAVIC system, India's answer to global navigation satellite systems, provides crucial position, velocity and timing services across the Indian mainland and extends up to 1,500 kilometers beyond its borders. This launch marks several significant technical advancements in India's space capabilities also. The NVS series introduces L1 band frequency compatibility, enhancing interoperability with global navigation systems and simplifying integration with mobile devices. Now, these improvements are expected to reduce hardware requirements for manufacturers and enable more straightforward software-based implementation for phone manufacturers. This mission is also the first for the Space Agency's chairman V. Narayanan, who assumed office recently. It is ISRO's maiden venture this year.
I am extremely happy to announce from the spaceport of ISRO that the first launch of this year, 2025, has been successfully accomplished, with the GSLV F-15 launch vehicle precisely injecting the navigation satellite NVS-02 in the required intended orbit. This mission is the 100th launch from our launch pads, which is very significant milestone of India.
Mission Director Thomas Curran said that the mission is a success and that the satellite NVS-02 has been successfully placed in the orbit.
As GSLV F-15 very successfully executed its mission by placing the NVS-02 satellite into its precise geostationary transfer orbit, we mark a historic milestone, the 100th mission from Sriharikota, the spaceport of India. This incredible achievement reflects the unwavering commitment, dedication and excellence of Team ISRO and the trust placed in us by the people of India.
Spacecraft Director Karthik A. said that the NV-02 is the second generation of the navigation satellite series.
Coming to NVS-02, it is the second satellite in the second generation of the navigation satellite series, NVS series, for the NAVIC constellation. Similar to its predecessor NVS-01, it has an indigenous atomic clock which will showcase our capability in this very critical technology. Also, it has L1 band navigation signal along with the heritage L5 and S signals. It will expand and widen our navigation services. The main mission objective of NVS-02 is to provide position, navigation and timing services for the Indian mainland and 1,500 kilometers surrounding it.
Dr. S. Unikrishnan Nair, the director of the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre, said that the launch signifies India's commitment towards self-reliance and indigenous development.
So this launch, this 100th launch by GSLV placing NVS-02 is going to significantly enhance the PNT services in the country and is going to contribute a lot to the science and technology. Again, it is a significant milestone for us, demonstrating our commitment for self-reliance and indigenous development.
India's Minister of Science and Technology, Jitendra Singh, has congratulated ISRO over the launch on his social media platform X, and I quote him, "Congratulations ISRO for achieving the landmark milestone of 100th launch from Sriharikota. It is a privilege to be associated with the Department of Space at the historic moment of this record feat. Team ISRO, you have once again made India proud with successful launch of GSLV F-15 NVS-02 mission. From a humble beginning by Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan and few others, it has been an amazing journey and a quantum leap after Prime Minister Narendra Modi unlocked the space sector and instilled the confidence that sky is not the limit." India has firmly and unequivocally rejected a Canadian Commission's report about alleged interference. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a strongly worded rebuttal dismissing the baseless allegations by Canada. The MEA said, and I quote, "We have seen a report about alleged activities on purported interference. It is in fact Canada which has been consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. This has also created an environment for illegal migration and organized criminal activities. We reject the report's insinuations on India and expect that the support system enabling illegal migration will not be further countenanced." All right, shifting focus to the United States now, where President Donald Trump's attempt to freeze hundreds of billions of dollars in federal aid was temporarily blocked in court on Tuesday. Minutes before it was due to take effect at 22 GMT, a federal judge blocked Trump's spending freeze that would have affected thousands of federal grant programs. The court will revisit the issue on Monday. The Trump administration said programs delivering benefits directly to Americans would not be affected. The White House said the freeze was needed to ensure federal aid programs are aligned with Republican presidents' priorities. It was unclear whether other multi-billion-dollar grant programs such as scientific research, highway construction and addiction recovery would be affected. Democrats criticized the spending freeze as unlawful and dangerous. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a waiver on Tuesday for life-saving humanitarian assistance during a 90-day pause in foreign aid while Washington undertakes a review. The U.S. foreign aid pause risks cutting off billions of dollars of life-saving assistance. The United States is the largest single donor of aid globally. In fiscal year 2023, it disbursed $72 billion in assistance. Donald Trump has also ordered an end to all federal funding or support for healthcare that aids the transition of transgender under the age of 19. The order fulfills a campaign promise to end child sexual mutilation, an apparent reference to transgender-related healthcare such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy that help the transition of people from one gender to another. The order aims to block Medicare payments for such healthcare, also known as Obamacare, which prohibits insurance campaigns from denying coverage to transgender patients. Trump directed the Health and Human Services Secretary to, within 90 days, publish a review of the existing literature on best practices for transgender healthcare for the minors. President Donald Trump on Tuesday offered most federal workers the option to leave their jobs in exchange for 8 months' severance. The deferred resignation program would allow federal employees to remain on the payroll through September 30th, but not have to work. Federal buyouts are generally capped at $25,000. The email gives federal employees until February 6th to decide whether to take part. As per the email received, the administration expects to see a more streamlined and flexible workforce. While the military and some agencies are likely to increase the size of their staff, the majority of agencies are likely to be downsized through restructurings and layoffs. All right, in a while from now, we'll be joined in by our correspondent Alan Thomas, who will help us understand the developments in the US better. President Donald Trump's attempt to freeze hundreds of billions of dollars in a federal aid was temporarily blocked in court on Tuesday. This was supposed to take effect at 22 GMT. Now, the judge blocked Trump's spending freeze as it would affect thousands of federal grant programs. Our correspondent Anil Thomas is there with us to get us more. Anil, good morning. Now, minutes before President Trump's proposal to suspend government funding was about to take effect on Tuesday, we saw that a federal court temporarily halted it. Help us understand, what does it entail? Who and what would this pause affect?
Well, it's very much on the similar lines. If one takes a look at, the rule that was the change that Trump proposed, or the Trump administration proposed, especially when it comes to immigration, something very similar on the same lines as the argument built on. First, medical aid that people get. Secondly, it's about education when it came to immigration. Here, health and medical aid is something that we've spoken about that could run into a lot of logjam. I think the road ahead is bumpy for the Trump administration, looking at the, shock and awe kind of executive decisions that he's taken. But I think, there will be arguments and counter arguments that could be built. And I think he would have his work cut up, especially when it comes to understanding the legal implications of how this particular process will move about. I think at least Trump's team has got it sorted. I think it's for now an understanding to be arrived between the court, the petitioners and Trump administration when it comes to, making this work. It's a hard step, I can understand, but it's a step that Trump believes is the need of the hour. And I think when there is a need of the hour, you'll generally go with what the perception is. But, at this point of time, surely a state breaker that, that particular judgment has hit, or that particular decision has hit. But it will have a longer implication. And I'm sure that, a middle path could be worked out on this particular decision.
All right, the Trump's administration to halt federal grants and loans has in fact caused a great deal of confusion among the stakeholders, that depend on his funding. Help us understand, Anil, what do you make of these stern policy decisions in Trump administration 2.0? Why is it that he's halting the federal aid?
Well, there are certain moves that the Trump administration has made. If you look at his first executive order, the first 10 orders that he signed, most of them were setting the house within America in order before he looked at, the external factors that need to come into play. I think internally he believes that there are a lot of grants that have been given that are of no use and they need to be curtailed, because you need to bring the cost down so that the cost of living for the common man becomes much simpler. And I think this particular offer to even resign till September that's been given to the employees of the federal government is an option that is, that is going to be utilized by many. This could also lead into more legal hassles for the Trump. But this is one way of looking at downsizing things, because, somewhere deep down, the Trump administration believes that there is too much of manpower that's been recruited, especially in the federal agencies, that need to be downsized. And for downsizing, you'll have to find a way out. Stopping grants could be one way, but stopping grants is something more like a knee-jerk reaction that you're looking at. But the overall idea is to downsize, to bring down manpower, especially within the federal employees. And I think that's the big idea that Trump has, especially when it comes to, taking things forward or making America great again.
All right, Anil, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in. In an effort to reach beyond the mainstream media in the US, the Trump administration is inviting TikTokers and podcasters to apply for press passes for White House briefing room. The move, spearheaded by White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, aims to provide representation to groups that have not been previously represented in the briefing room before. In her first time at the White House podium, Karoline said an additional seat for new media voices had been reserved in the briefing room, adding that anyone producing legitimate news content can apply for press credentials. The new press secretary also vowed to hold reporters accountable for what she said were lies about Trump. The briefing at White House also has, in fact, she has repeatedly criticized traditional media, calling it enemy of the people, and also the credits of a series of podcast appearances for aiding Trump's return to the White House. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, the Trump administration continues to step up immigration arrests, even as US military aircraft deport back migrants to Colombia. In the wake of sanctions against Nicolas Maduro's regime, Ecuador proposes to sell oil daily to nations that currently purchase oil from Venezuela. North Korea's Kim Jong-un vows to continue nuclear program indefinitely amid hints of inevitable confrontation with hostile nations.
This week on Defense Dynamics, explore India's scramjet breakthrough in hypersonic missiles and its edge in global tech. Why is India reviving its German submarine deal with HDW after 50 years? Find out what's at stake in Project 75I. How does Pralay strengthen India's border defense? A closer look at its tactical advantage. And is China's air power really ahead of India's? The IF versus PLAAF comparison that might surprise you. Catch it all this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. US President Donald Trump's top Homeland Security official Kristi Noem joined officers in an immigration enforcement operation that arrested several people in New York City on Tuesday. The Trump administration stepped up immigration arrests in recent days with about 1,000 to 1,200 arrests per day, far above the daily average of 311 in the fiscal year 2024. The operation in New York involved agents from ICE's investigative arm known as Homeland Security Investigations, which normally focuses on transnational crime, including human trafficking, child exploitation and drug smuggling, as well as personnel from the Drug Enforcement Administration, that is DEA. As Trump continues to push for more border reinforcements, US Marines are working on adding barbed wire to sections of the southern border wall near San Isidro on Monday. Now, the operation, part of an initiative by US Northern Command and the Department of Homeland Security, adds barriers to sectors of the border wall. Two Colombian Air Force planes carrying deportees from the United States arrived in Bogota on Tuesday, paving the way for US President Donald Trump's administration to lift visa restrictions and other measures on Colombian citizens. One plane flying from San Diego, California, brought 110 Colombians, and others which departed from El Paso, Texas, brought 91 people. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro averted an economic disaster over the weekend after diplomats from his government and the US reached a deal on deportation flights in a dispute that had led both the countries to threaten tariffs and the US to impose visa measures. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated on Tuesday that Colombian authorities agreed to all of President Trump's demands regarding the deportation of their nationals.
When President Trump swiftly directed his team to issue harsh and effective sanctions and tariffs on the Colombian government, upon hearing they were denied a U.S. military aircraft full of their own citizens who were deported by this administration. Within hours, the Colombian government agreed to all of President Trump's demands, proving America is once again respected on the world stage.
Brazil will not use its Air Force planes to assist with the deportation of Brazilian migrants in the United States, just days after a major flare-up in neighboring Colombia over the issue. Brazil summoned a senior U.S. diplomat to discuss the deportation of Brazilian migrants after it condemned handcuffing of deportees on a flight to repatriate migrants from the United States. Brazil's Foreign Affairs Minister, Mauro Vieira, told journalists that its citizens cannot be handcuffed in deportation flights while in Brazilian territory. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said that he was open to receiving Venezuelan migrants deported from the U.S. Maduro's statement comes as the United States has ramped up crackdown on illegal immigration, with President Trump declaring it a national emergency.
We tell our migrants that we want them to return. We want them to return so that they can be happy here. So they can come to create businesses, work and build in their land. What they do in their land stays in their land. It will be here for you, for your children, so you can come here to sing, to dance, to party, to work, to study, to build their homeland. We want them to come back. If they are not wanted over there, we do want them with love.
Nosotros sí los queremos, con amor.
Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez met with Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa in Quito, where the leaders addressed a joint press conference on Tuesday. In his remarks, Noboa expressed Ecuador's willingness to sell up to 250,000 barrels of oil daily to the nations that currently purchase oil from Venezuela if sanctions against Nicolas Maduro's regime are imposed. On his part, Gonzalez thanked the people of Ecuador for receiving displaced Venezuelans.
I want to express my deep gratitude to the Ecuadorian people who have generously opened their doors to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans who, displaced by this tragedy, have found refuge in this land. These compatriots marked by pain and uprooting are direct victims of a rhyme that has merged autocracy with organized crime.
Earlier in January, Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for his third consecutive term as the president. He was declared the winner of July's election by both Venezuela's electoral authority and the top court. However, his election victory had been disputed, with the opposition claiming a landslide victory for Gonzalez, who has been recognized as president-elect by several countries, including the United States. International election observers have also denounced the vote as undemocratic. The bulletin of the atomic scientists on Tuesday moved the doomsday clock to 89 seconds before midnight, citing increased risks of the global catastrophe. This is the closest the clock has ever been to midnight. The main factors contributing to this decision are Russian nuclear threats, tensions in hotspots, military applications of artificial intelligence, and climate change. In related news, North Korea's Kim Jong-un has vowed to continue the country's nuclear program indefinitely. This comes after US President Donald Trump expressed his intention to re-engage with Kim diplomatically. Kim has warned of an inevitable confrontation with hostile nations and emphasized the importance of bolstering North Korea's nuclear forces by 2025. North Korea claims its nuclear program is necessary to counter US and ally threats. Relations between North and South Korea remain tense, with Pyongyang launching ballistic missiles in violation of UN sanctions. Trump has described Kim as a smart guy and plans to reach out to him again. Ukraine escalates its campaign with overnight drone attacks on Russian oil and power facilities. In the Nizhny Novgorod region, a destroyed drone triggered a fire at an industrial site in Kistovo, where an oil refinery was reportedly ablaze, according to regional governor. No casualties were reported. In Smolensk, air defense systems intercepted a drone targeting a nuclear power plant, while the Bryansk and Tver regions also saw multiple drones downed. The attacks are part of a massive wave targeting critical infrastructure, heightening tensions across Russia. Russian authorities grounded flights at Kazan airport to ensure safety, while the damage appears minimal with no casualties reported. As the crisis unfolded in eastern Congo, M23 rebels seized Goma's airport, cutting off the city's lifeline for aid to hundreds of thousands displaced by war. Bodies lined the streets after a brutal offensive forced government troops into retreat. Reports indicated that Rwandan troops had backed the rebels, escalating tensions. In Kinshasa, protesters stormed the UN offices and embassies, blaming foreign interference. The US ordered its embassy staff to evacuate. With fighting spreading into neighborhoods, fears of a regional war mounted. The UN warned of a humanitarian disaster as thousands fled into Rwanda. South Africa mourned its fallen peacekeepers. The United States has urged the UN Security Council to take action against Rwanda and M23 rebels as their brutal offensive grips eastern Congo. US envoy Dorothy Shea demanded an immediate ceasefire, calling on Rwanda to withdraw its troops. In Goma, UN officials described unimaginable civilian suffering. Addressing the council in a helmet and flak jacket, UN envoy Vivian van de Peer warned of an escalating catastrophe.
Resuming the Luanda process is of the utmost urgency to ensure a path towards de-escalation and to avert the looming threat of a third Congo war. We remind all parties of their obligation to uphold international humanitarian law and stress that attacks on United Nations peacekeepers may constitute war crimes. The degree of suffering that the population in Goma and its environments is enduring is truly unimaginable.
Congo's foreign minister demanded sanctions on Rwanda, while Rwanda's envoy denied involvement, blaming Kinshasa's military ambitions.
Continuera-t-il d'abuser votre respect?
From the United Nations Charter to international humanitarian law to human rights and also the Luanda and Nairobi peace processes, Rwanda has proven time and again that your statements mean absolutely nothing.
En passant par
As rebel forces entrench themselves, international pressure mounts. The UN insists on a withdrawal of external forces.
To recall that these attacks are not the first, but the latest of a long list of provocative actions by the government of the DRC. I'd like to also recall that Rwanda has always shown restraint and sought to engage the DRC in dealing with the root causes of insecurity in the region and along our common border.
As the conflict in eastern Congo spirals, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urgently spoke with the presidents of Congo and Rwanda, seeking a path to peace. But the UN officials warn the crisis raging for decades will not be solved overnight.
The crisis in the eastern of the Congo has been going on for decades. It's not going to be solved in 24 hours. What is clear is that it will not be solved through military operations by different governments, by different militias. On the ground, obviously, as you can imagine, the situation in Goma remains tense and rather fluid. M23 forces, we are told, are inside the city, and UN peacekeeping personnel and troops have largely been forced to shelter in their bases.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. For this year's Spring Festival, the streets in ancient town of Shipu in East China have come alive with the soft glow of intricate fish lanterns. The lanterns showcase the timeless beauty of this intangible cultural heritage. The tradition of making fish lanterns is an integral part of the cultural heritage of Shipu town. Giant budget fashion chain Primark launched a line of clothing created specifically for people with disabilities. The adaptive collection, which went on sale on Tuesday in 31 stores, includes a trench coat with pockets that close with magnetic strips and zipped sleeves, whereas jeans have been designed to close with magnetic buttons or snap fastenings, and trousers are fitted with hidden openings to allow easy access for stoma bags or catheteral tubes. Each piece has been carefully crafted to provide ease of dressing and fashionability. French fashion house Chanel unveiled a light and colorful Spring-Summer 2025 haute couture collection on Tuesday in Paris. The French fashion house said that the show was conceived as a scenario of colors starting at dawn and beginning again after nightfall. The show began with tweed suits in white, pastel yellow, aqua green or lilac before transitioning into brighter hues and ending with evening gowns in dark, blue and black. You're watching DD India News. I'll be heading for a short break, but after the break, on a 3-day visit to UAE, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets UAE leadership. Iconic beating retreat ceremony to take place at Vijay Chowk, marking the culmination of the celebration of 76th Republic Day in India.
What's highest on industry's wish list, if I have to ask you?
So highest in the industry's growth list is to see how we can, on the day the budget gets presented, we are able to say that this is a budget focused on growth. Right. So I would think that the private investments going forward, bolstered, as you said very rightly, that the public capex must continue, private capex will definitely pick up.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Indian Space Research Organisation carries out historic 100th mission from Sriharikota. GSLV F-15 successfully carries NVS-02 into its planned orbit. India rejects Canada's report on election interference, says that it is Trudeau government which is consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. A US court temporarily blocks President Donald Trump's freeze on funding for federal aid programs at an emergency hearing after Trump's order triggers nationwide chaos and confusion. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a 3-day visit to the UAE, called on President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and conveyed warm greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a social media post, Minister Jaishankar said the leaders discussed continued progress in comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries, adding that he values his guidance for the future growth. And now we get you all the latest from Mahakumbh, the largest gathering of humans anywhere on the planet. The Mahakumbh, the largest religious gathering in the world, is observing its second Amrit Snan today. In view of the millions of devotees arriving in Prayagraj, authorities have issued an advisory asking all devotees to treat the ghats as equal to the Sangam and avoid any rush and misinformation of any kind. Elaborate security and crowd management systems are in place at the Mela site to assist the devotees. Traffic advisory of the police is also in place for Prayagraj to ensure proper crowd management. Meanwhile, a mishap has been reported from Kumbh. Prime Minister Modi has spoken to Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and is continuously monitoring the situation. Pilgrims, however, continue to take the holy dip at Triveni Sangam peacefully. Our correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us to get us more. Akshay, good morning. After the unfortunate beginning of the morning, we tell our viewers that the devotees have resumed the Amrit Snan there. You confirm this for us and also let us know the latest with regard to the preparations and the arrangements that have been put in place after the incident in the morning.
Well, Preeti, as far as the unfortunate incident that took place during the VRs is concerned, yes, there are certain spots that are the most popular as far as the Sangam confluence is concerned, and Sangam Ghat is one of those places where most of the people want to visit and take the holy dip. That is the nose of the confluence of the three holy rivers where Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati meet. That point which is called Sangam. So most of the people wish to take the holy dip at Sangam Ghat, which has in fact been reiterated by the government of Uttar Pradesh as well as the government of India, that people can take dip anywhere wherever they find the river Ganga, and they do not need to go to the Sangam Ghat only. However, but contrary to that, people did try to move to only one spot, and that led to huge crowds gathering only at one spot, which has led to a stampede-like situation. However, it was brought under control by the authorities that were deployed. But given the crowds that are here, it is extremely task even for the authorities to manage such a huge crowd. In fact, as you have rightly mentioned, this is the largest ever human gatherings anywhere in the world.
All right, Akshay, there is disruption in your audio. Akshay, there is disruption in your audio. We'll try getting back again to you. Meanwhile, we'll turn focus to other updates that we are following. India is gearing up for Budget 2025. The Indian industry has high expectations for policy support, fiscal incentives and structural reforms to drive economic growth and resilience. Shama Mishra gets us more details from Mumbai.
Industry stakeholders expect a progressive budget that prioritizes economic expansion, technological advancements, and environmental sustainability. They anticipate well-structured policies that will not only stimulate business growth but also foster a conducive ecosystem for digital transformation and green initiatives. Sanjay Mariwala, president of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, says that he is expecting that this budget will maintain consistency in policies. He also expects simplification of procedures, as ease of doing business is a significant area for India and it should be made a prime agenda in all government departments.
Fundamentally, what we look for is maintaining some consistency in policies. Let's not make too many changes every year. Year on year, changes don't spell well for a developed economy. Ease of doing business is a very significant area for India. I think we need to focus on that and make simplification of procedures and ease of doing business a prime agenda for all departments of the government.
Applauding the production-linked incentive scheme, he says it has given great results and there is a need to step up the manufacturing. There should be inclusion of more sectors in PLI, he adds.
I think PLI has given us great results and we need to step up our manufacturing capability and capacities significantly. I think incentivizing companies through PLI is an excellent scheme and it's giving great results. It should include more sectors under PLI.
Anant Goenka, Senior Vice President of FICCI, says boosting domestic consumption and addressing inflationary pressures is a key area that demands attention in this budget. He recommends time-bound consumption e-vouchers for lower and middle-income families to stimulate discretionary spending.
A key focus area that demands immediate attention is boosting domestic consumption and addressing inflationary pressures. We recommend introducing time-bound consumption e-vouchers for lower and middle-income families to stimulate discretionary spending. To combat food inflation, we also propose establishing a food inflation response and strategy team under the PMO's authority.
A balanced approach, one that upholds fiscal discipline while simultaneously encouraging bold investments in innovation and infrastructure, will be instrumental in shaping India's long-term economic trajectory. The Budget 2025 holds the potential to strengthen India's position as a key player in the global economic landscape, ensuring sustainable prosperity for businesses and citizens alike. Shama Mishra's report for DD India.
The Western Indian state of Gujarat is known for its entrepreneurial spirit and infrastructure development. DD India caught up with youngsters at the Gujarat University in Ahmedabad to know about their expectations from the budget.
We are joined in by students at Gujarat University who will be speaking to us on their expectations from the union budget. So we'll speak to a few of them, get their insights, get their opinions on the union budget. What are you expecting this time?
I really want to talk about the telemedicine expansion, as India introduced 90,000 crore for the healthcare sector in 2024-25. There should be investment in the telehealth sectors because for the remote medical consultancies and especially for the rural and the underserved areas. Research and development are like twin engines which will drive India towards a knowledge-based economy. And what I feel is, in terms of research and development, there should be development for translating the research discoveries. Like, many of us do not know that research discoveries are done, but how are they going to contradict with the real-life applications?
Target of the budget should be clearly towards the nation's growth, which is directly involving the students. And the students' demand right now, being an economic student, I can tell that skill education is the one thing that our nation should mainly focus on.
I would like the government to allocate more funds, not just to create several schemes for startups, but rather also promote it. For example, Gujarat has created iHub, Innovation Hub, but many students have no idea for it. So there won't be any use for all these schemes if the government does not promote them.
Being a youth, we do have a really high expectations for the budget of this year 2025.
This year's union budget with high hopes and expectations from different sectors and what the government brings for them, also what the government thinks about the youth. With my colleague Jatin Bhatt, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Ahmedabad, Gujarat.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The death toll in the building collapse in North Delhi's Burari has risen to 5. The newly constructed building near Oscar Public School crashed on Monday evening. So far, 21 people have been rescued as the rescue operation is still underway. The cause of the collapse is yet to be determined, with the Municipal Corporation of Delhi set to investigate the incident further. As Western state of Maharashtra registers over 100 cases of GBS, the Director General of Indian Council of Medical Research, Dr. Rajiv Behel, said that the cases are under investigation as a team of experts has collected various samples. He said that the cause of or link of GBS is found only in 40% of the cases. The Union Health Ministry has also deputed a high-level multidisciplinary team to Pune to aid the state authorities in further investigation. And the celebration of the 76th Republic Day in India will come to a close with the melodious iconic Beating the Retreat ceremony at Vijay Chowk on Wednesday. This annual event marks the closing event of the Republic Day celebrations, which involves the performance by Indian Army, Navy, Air Force and Central Armed Police Forces bands. In a significant diplomatic and economic gathering coinciding with India's 76th Republic Day, leaders from India and the UAE convened in Ras Al Khaimah to fortify their growing partnership and explore new avenues for cooperation. Multiple memoranda of understanding between Ras Al Khaimah Economic Zone and key Indian institutions, including the Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation and the Confederation of Indian Industry. The summit highlighted the remarkable transformation in bilateral relations, with trade volumes reaching $85 billion last year, positioning the UAE as India's third largest trading partner. The event was marked by presence of Sheikh Saud bin Sakr Al Qasimi, ruler of Ras Al Khaimah, and the distinguished Indian leaders, including Maharashtra Industries Minister Uday Samant. In Sri Lanka, the Attorney General's Department has filed an indictment in the High Court against Namal Rajapaksa. Member of Parliament and son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Namal Rajapaksa has been alleged to be involved in the form of illegal payoffs in the Krish project. The case involves around financial misconduct and also Krish Group's investments in Sri Lanka. The $650 million mixed development project was initiated during the second term of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, US European tech shares recover some losses from the steep DeepSeek Monday sell-off. Trump's crypto czar says intellectual property theft may be at play. World Chess Champion D. Gukesh becomes sole leader at Tata Steel Chess Tournament in Netherlands.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Chinese AI sensation DeepSeek limited the registration of new users due to large-scale cyber attacks on its services. The company cited large-scale malicious attacks for outages and its inability to take on new users. DeepSeek was developed by a startup based in the eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou. The low-cost Chinese generative AI venture is thought to have matched US companies in its abilities, but at a fraction of the cost. Chinese firm DeepSeek's artificial intelligence chatbot has also soared to the top of Apple Store's downloaded charts. The program has shaken up the tech industry and hit US titans including Nvidia, the AI chip juggernaut that saw nearly 600 billion of its marked value erased, the most ever for one day on Wall Street. Though US stocks and shares in chip-making giant Nvidia on Tuesday clawed back some of their losses, American tech shares tanked on Monday, with Nvidia tumbling almost 17% after China's DeepSeek unveiled its R1 chatbot, which it claims can match the capacity of top US AI products for a fraction of their costs. All three major indices on Wall Street finished higher, with the Nasdaq Composite rising 2%, buoyed by a rise in tech stocks, reversing some of its losses on Monday. ChatGPT creator OpenAI said on Tuesday that Chinese firms are constantly trying to tap into US rivals to improve Chinese artificial intelligence models. OpenAI made the comments after the White House said it was evaluating possible national security concerns raised by China's DeepSeek. Working on these lines, OpenAI has launched ChatGPT Gov, a customized AI tool for US government agencies. With 90,000 existing ChatGPT users across federal, state and local US governments, this new version aims to enhance productivity. OpenAI's goal is to ensure AI benefits with public and aligns with democratic values. ChatGPT Gov is built on the enterprise version and can operate on Microsoft's cloud platform. Up next, we get to sports updates. England secured a 26-run victory over India in the third T20 international to stay alive in the 5-match series. Put into bat, England posted a modest 171 runs for the loss of 9 wickets, with Ben Duckett and Liam Livingstone providing major contributions. Indian spinner Varun Chakravarti claimed 5 wickets, but the English bowlers made their own mark and restricted the hosts to 145 runs for the loss of 9 wickets to deny India an unassailable 3-0 lead in the series. For India, seamer Mohammad Shami conceded 25 runs in his 3 overs on his return to international cricket after a year due to an ankle injury. The teams moved to Pune for the 4th T20 on Friday. The Hyderabad Tufans played out a 3-each draw with team Gonazika and then lost 1-3 in the penalty shootout in the Men's Hockey India League match in Rourkela. Earlier, the Hyderabad Tufans made a scintillating start as Jacob Anderson scored the fastest goal in the league's history. Anderson scored in the 20th second and then Tim Brand and Amandeep Lakra added to the tally. But a brace from Victor Charlotte and a superb goal from Arayjeet Singh Hundal saw Gonazika draw level before winning the shootout. Tufans took early lead in the penalty shootout but were then stifled as Oliver Payne made these 3 successive saves to lead his side to the win. India will face Togo in a crucial Davis Cup World Group 1 playoff tie on February 1st and 2nd at the R.K. Khanna Tennis Stadium in New Delhi. The match will determine India's standing in the World Group 1 for the upcoming season, and the team is preparing for a tough contest at home. The non-playing captain, Rohit Rajpal, will lead a 5-member squad that includes Ramkumar Ramanathan, Sriram Balaji, Mukund Sasikumar, Karan Singh and Ritvik Bolipalli. Sumit Nagal, India's highest-ranked singles player, has opted out of the tie, having previously opted out of the Pakistan and Sweden ties as well. World chess champion D. Gukesh has become the sole leader after he beat Leon Luke Mendoca in the 9th round of Tata Steel Chess Tournament in Netherlands. He clinched his 4th win of the tournament in just 43 moves. Gukesh, who became the youngest world chess champion in Singapore last month, has secured 6.5 points from a possible 9. Gukesh's next 4 opponents include 2 Dutchmen, Max Warmerdam and Jordan van Foreest. He will also face a stern challenge from last year's defending champion, Wei Ye. Manchester City head into the final group game against Club Brugge on Wednesday, needing to win a stay in the hunt for Champions League knockout stages. City have reached the Champions League knockout stages every season since 2016, but they are in danger of missing out with a new format this year, where they sit at 25th position in the standings. The top 8 teams qualify directly for the last 16, while the clubs that finish 9th to 24th contest the playoffs to advance. Brugge have not lost a game in all competitions since late October and are 20th in the Champions League standings, 3 points above City. The 38th edition of the National Games kicked off at Maharana Pratap Sports College in Dehradun with a spectacular opening ceremony that showcased Uttarakhand's rich cultural heritage. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi officially declared the Games open, marking a historic moment for Indian sports. Take a look.
The 38th edition of the National Games commenced with the grand opening ceremony at Maharana Pratap Sports College in Dehradun, marking a significant milestone in India's sporting history. The event showcased the vibrant cultural heritage of Uttarakhand, captivating the audience. Prime Minister Narendra Modi officially declared the Games open, calling it a historic moment in Uttarakhand's journey of development.
हम स्पोर्ट्स को भारत के सर्वांगीण विकास का एक प्रमुख माध्यम मानते हैं। जब कोई देश स्पोर्ट्स में आगे बढ़ता है तो देश की शाख भी बढ़ती है, देश का प्रोफाइल भी बढ़ता है। इसलिए आज स्पोर्ट्स को भारत के विकास से जोड़ा जा रहा है। हम इसे भारत के युवाओं के आत्मविश्वास से जोड़ रहे हैं।
Uttarakhand's history and traditions were displayed on a giant mountain-shaped installation with multiple screens at the center of the stadium, setting the stage for the grand parade of athletes. Teams representing states, union territories, and institutional groups such as services marched proudly, celebrating the spirit of unity and competition.
उत्तराखंड में पहली बार राष्ट्रीय खेलों का आयोजन होने जा रहा है। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री इस पहले 14 दिन का और अब कुल मिलाकर 17 दिन खेल महाकुंभ का आयोजन प्रदेश के विभिन्न 11 स्थानों पर आयोजित किया जा रहा है, जिसमें देश भर के 10,000 से अधिक खिलाड़ी करीब 35 खेलों में प्रतिभाग करेंगे।
Uttarakhand's sporting stars Lakshya Sen and distance runner Ankita Dhyani led their state's contingent, carrying the flag with pride. In a symbolic moment, Lakshya Sen brought the torch into the stadium and passed it to Prime Minister Modi, who lit the cauldron, officially marking the beginning of the Games. After that, 2,025 participants blew conch shells to mark the start of a new era in Uttarakhand's sports journey. The event seamlessly blended modern and traditional elements with 32 disciplines and 4 demonstration sports. Over 10,000 athletes, officials, and coaches from states, union territories, and institutional teams are participating in this grand event, vying for glory.
National Games 2025 promises to be a festival of sports, uniting the nation, celebrating the aspiration of athletes from every corner of India. It marks a start of new era in Uttarakhand's sports journey, igniting hope, inspiration for athletes across the nation. This grand celebration of talent and unity sets the stage for future champions to rise and shine.
Hundreds of millions of people across Asia celebrated the Lunar New Year with their families as they bid farewell to the Year of the Dragon and ushered in the Year of the Snake. In Beijing, the arrival of the Year of the Snake was met with cheers as people embraced the festive moment with song and dance against a backdrop of spectacular light shows and fireworks at various venues. The Chinese enjoy 8 consecutive public holidays for the 2025 Spring Festival, an opportunity to share meals, attend traditional performances and set off firecrackers and fireworks. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.